Um, Thank you, Father, for those kind words. Tonight, I'm very honored to be here, and in some ways, don't feel worthy to be in presence of people that I admire and look up to, and it's just a wonderful blessing to be here. If I think of some of what has happened in my life, the core of what's happened in my life is very simple. And that is, a dear friend of mine here tonight is Alfonso. He's taught me something to be obedient. And many times in our lives, God speaks to us, and we hear Him intimately in our hearts, but it's tough to say yes. We hear Him, but it's like, can you change that a little bit? That thing that you're asking for, can you just change that a little bit? The thing that I've learned is to say yes. And in humility to realize my weaknesses, but to say yes. Tonight, I'm honored here in a way that's it's not really me that we're speaking about. There's a guy by the name of John Maxwell, many of you may know him, a leader, a very big speaker in the world of leadership, and he said something very simple. He said, it's the law of significance. And the law of significance is very simple. It says, no one person can achieve anything significant in their life on their own. It's always with others. In people that are very close to my heart in terms of my spiritual guidance are Father Peter and Father David, who have been kind of like mom and dad in my life. That's the cool thing about having two spiritual directors. When one you don't agree with, you say, "But Dad, Mom said this." So that's why I've got two, in case any of you want to learn that two is better than one. But thank you to both of you for being the wind beneath my wings. And sometimes when I'm faced with life, very important to me is Roberto. Roberto Sanchez has taught me something that is a very key ingredient in my life, and that is to build bridges. In every relationship, you can always find things that separate you from others, but it's seeking those things that join you that's most important. Finding what joins you. And that's what he's taught me, is to find the things that are similar in people's backgrounds and their outlook in life, and build on those similarities. And then you can deal with some of the things that are different. So thank you, Roberto. I very much thank both Martin and Alfonso, two wonderful friends that are here tonight, that have come all the way to be with me tonight, and I very much appreciate you guys coming. One person I'd like to just recognize tonight is my dad. He's not here tonight, he couldn't be here. But he's the foundation of a lot of things that happen in my life. And I'd just like to share for a second some of the things that happened in his life that have helped form my life. When he was 4 years old, during the Second World War in Germany, his mom was bombed out in Munich, and she had to give him away to a small town outside of Munich. And he was basically left at the doorstep of someone that he didn't know. And this person didn't want him. So they put him out in the front of the church. And one of the ladies coming to pray saw him standing there crying and said, "You know what? I'll take you." And he's 4 years old. And at that moment, my life changed. Because the lady that touched his heart for the next 4 years took him to Mass every day. From the age of 4 till 8, he went to church every day. And he used that as a foundation stone for our family. We went to church every day. My children go to church every day. He has 22 grandchildren. They go to church every Sunday. That's the foundation. That's the importance of being a leader in your families. And he's taught me that. So I'm very grateful to him for that. Another experience, while I was driving in a car with him one day, trying to decide what to do with my life, we were stopped at a red light in Johannesburg, and two guys jumped out of the bush with AK-47s and emptied the machine gun into our car. And if you've ever felt the hand of God in your life, the bullet went through my shirt, through the shirt, and out the door. And I couldn't understand, why did God save my life? Why did He do that? And so that helped me understand that I should come to America, to leave South Africa. I kind of said to God, you know, I thank you for that answer, but next time you can whisper. But it was a very important turning point in my life when my wife and I left South Africa, came to the United States. And I can proudly stand here, I'm a United States citizen, and I can stand with my hand on my heart and sing the national anthem, something that most Americans, I don't think, really fully appreciate. It's something that is an honor and a privilege, and I understand what that means, freedom. I understand what safety and security means, and I hope that you think carefully about how privileged we are to live in this wonderful country. I ran our company in South Carolina, where we have about 220 employees, and the company continued to grow. But during that growth, I felt an emptiness in my heart. Something didn't sound right. Something didn't feel right. And so a friend of mine encouraged me to go on a silent retreat in Atlanta. Boy, was that a silent retreat or what? Wow. Many of you have been on a silent retreat, you know it's not silent. God spoke to me more that 2 days than He'd ever spoken to me in my life. And I found the true purpose and meaning for my life. And everything changed for me, and I understood two things. Love God with all your heart and love your neighbor. And it was that simple. And I came out of that retreat on fire for Christ. My heart literally was on fire. I wanted to go up to the top of the mountain and shout His name and share that love that I felt, that forgiveness, that compassion, that intense love. I wanted to share it with the world. But as with most people, when you have that intense love, it's like a puppy. You have this love and you don't know what to do with it. And I had to have some guidance. And that's where my two mom and dad came in. And at that point, I realized that I was a submarine Christian. I don't know if you've ever heard of the definition of the submarine Christian. But what that means is that you come up to surface on Sunday morning for 1 hour, and the rest of the week you die. Because you don't want to hear what God's got to say, and it's tough being out there. So I decided I wasn't going to be a submarine Christian. What did that mean in my company? And it gave me a complete new paradigm, that God was to be living in my company. And most importantly, it wasn't my company to start with. It was a gift from God. And if it's a gift from God, I need to be a good steward of that time and that talent that I have that's in my workplace. And that's where everything started to change for me. I started to realize that the business was a platform for ministry. Just as many of you are out in ministry every day, I realized for the first time I didn't have to go to India to do mission work. The mission was in my own company. And that's where everything changed for me. And it all started by me going and saying to God, there are a lot of fears. If you want to put Christ in the middle of your business, what are your customers going to think? What are your employees going to think? What's your board of directors going to think? They're going to think you're nuts. And so I stood at this precipice and I had to make a decision. Was I prepared to jump? And I was so in love with Christ, it's almost like a teenager. You don't care what mom and dad say anymore. I'm going to jump. And I've got teenage girls and I know what that feels like. Dad, I love him. Okay. That's how I felt. I felt like a teenager in love. And I said, you know what? God, I'm going to jump. And you're going to help me. And if you're the master of the universe, you're going to figure out how to make me fly. And did He ever do that? The first thing we did was we created a core value statement in our company. And it reads something like this. We're a Christian company based on the core values of honesty, integrity, respect, kindness, and a sense of social responsibility. We strive to honor God in all that we do. This is reflected in how we conduct our business and how we care for our employees, who are our greatest asset. And through that journey, we wrote a book on this journey that we've gone through. And I'd ask, I don't know where those books are, but any of you that are interested in reading more about what Christ looks like in a workplace, these books can be handed out, I don't know, Roberta, at some point afterward, but if you're interested, these books will be available. But basically what happened is we had to create, it's one thing to declare Christ on a mission statement, but you can only truly convince people not by declaring Him, but by displaying Him first. What does that displaying look like in a company? So we decided to tithe, and we took 1% of our total revenue, and we put it into a fund called a caring committee fund. And we said to our employees, you can use this money any way you like to improve the lives of our employees, your families, and their community. And it's amazing the things they did. They formed several funds that I want to share with you quickly. The first one was a benevolent fund, whereby any employee that's going through a crisis in their families, in their lives, can apply for funds. And the caring committee will send an envelope around the employees, and they will gather money. And that money is matched 5-to-1 by the caring committee. Some employees get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to help them in times of difficulty. There's another one where they started a car fund. If your car breaks down as an employee, we'll come and pick your car up wherever it's at, we'll tow it away, we'll repair it, and bring it back to your home. They thought it was such a good program, they expanded it to include all the spouses of our employees. It's a huge fund. The next one that we had was a house repair fund. If your home is in disrepair, we'll come out as a team of volunteers from the company. The company will provide the materials, and we'll repair your home free of charge on a Saturday morning, or Saturday, or multiple Saturdays. One employee's house took 3 months. We basically rebuilt the whole house. We also have marriage retreats. If any of our employees are struggling in their marriages, we pay for a complete weekend away to help them in their marriages. We also have drug rehabilitation, where we rehabilitate our employees. We send them away for 16 weeks to a Christian rehabilitation center. We pay for them while they're gone. And so they come back and their families are able to survive while dad or mom is gone. I wanted to share you a very brief story. If as a company owner you want to penetrate your company and allow God's love to penetrate, there's one question that is the acid test. And that is, does the janitor in your company know and feel that you love them? And I want to share a quick story. Our janitor had a tremendous problem with drugs. And we sent him on this rehabilitation, and we helped him, and we rehabilitated his life. And a few months later, we were out at the homeless shelter serving a meal. And we invite our employees and their families to be there with us to serve those meals. And I felt this tug on my leg, and I'm like, what is this? And I turn around, and there's this 11-year-old boy that's hugging my leg. And he looks up to me and he says, "Sir, I just want to tell you how thankful I am that you've gotten my dad back. He stopped beating my mom, and he stopped taking drugs, and we now go to church on Sunday." Do you know what that feels like? There's an eternal value component to living like that. Suddenly there's purpose to your business. There's meaning. When you go to work on Monday, it's not switch the light off that I'm a submarine. I want to be up there. I want to be there for Christ so that He can live through our company and inspire us to change lives. The next thing that we did as a company, we hired a corporate chaplain to be there, as mom and dad are there for me, to be there for our employees. And during this time, the corporate chaplain does hospital visits. All the things that chaplains do, he does for our employees. And during this time, of about 5 years now, 68 of our employees and family members have come to a relationship with Jesus Christ. Isn't that awesome? Do you know that in our company, we did a survey, 70% of our employees don't go to church. There's no church. So how do we do that? The modern culture that Father was talking about, the modern evangelization, where is that to take place? Do we wait for the people to come to church? Or do we take the church to them? And that's what's happened here. We've taken Christ's love. We display Christ's love first before we declare it. And when employees see that unconditional caring and love, it touches their hearts. And when you touch their hearts and they go into a crisis in their families, in their personal situations, and that chaplain is there, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. People come to know Christ's love in the darkness of their lives. And it's the most incredible thing to see in our small company how that's happened. While I was on this journey, I had this almost like this little test tube that I took all these chemicals that fathers had shared with me, and I shook it, and the light came on. It was a beautiful recipe to bring Christ into people's lives. The next thing for me, I felt like God was asking me, why do you keep it just in your company? You need to let that light shine. And it was a challenge for me. I was wondering, do I let that light shine and fear that I'm being boastful? Or do I let that light shine and let it shine for Christ? And to Him be the glory. The fact that I'm up here tonight is not about me. It's about the grace of the people around me, the blessings, and God's light in my life. The story is not my life. The story is God's love and transformation in my life. So the next step for me was, how do I take that beyond? So we started an organization called His Way at Work, which is an organization that it coaches and encourages CEOs of companies to transform their companies from secular companies into Christ-centered companies, where they transform the lives of their employees. And since the inception of this organization, we've coached over 50 companies in the US and Mexico, representing almost 26,000 employees whose lives have been changed for eternity. Isn't that an incredible responsibility we have as owners of companies, as CEOs? The mission field is in our backyard. It's there in front of us every day. And I just want to thank tonight Legion for what they've done in my life. If it wasn't for them, I'd probably be in a gutter somewhere, in a ditch. But they helped me to see the bigger piece and purpose of my life. That life was there to transform a leader and to allow that leader to transform culture. And that's what Father was saying, is the charism of the Legion. And I just am so grateful to the Legion, to Father Luis, for his support of all the things that have happened in my life and the support they've given me to take this apostolate and to make it real. And that's where these two gentlemen that are here tonight, Alfonso and Martin, these are brothers to me that are taking this mission to their companies. Between the two of them, they have 15,000 employees. That they have transformed their companies to be Christ-centered. Isn't that awesome? And that's because of Legion. It's because of the Legion's support of my humble little soul that they've enriched me and helped me to fly. And I used to be a submarine Christian, but they've transformed me into an aircraft carrier. Honestly. They've helped me to float on the surface, but not only to float, but to allow other airplanes to land, to refuel, and take off. And that's the beauty of the Legion, is they inspire little humble people like myself to get out there and not be ashamed, and to speak out for Christ. And it's just an awesome thing, and I can't say thank you enough for the transformation and the eternal value that the Legion and the priests have added into my life. As a result of that, I feel so passionate about that with the help of the Legion, we've started an endowment fund here at the Legion to help and support new priests, to help the seminary, help them grow, and help more priests come into our society, to help transform more people like myself, so that we can change our lives and we can transform and influence culture. And so, with that in mind, Mother Teresa says a beautiful thing. She says, the real test of love is whether or not it hurts. And they say that the way we know that we love is when we empty ourselves. And it's the emptying of self that allows love to fill our lives. And when she says that, I often think, how much do I need to give? How much of my time, my effort, my talent do I need to give? And her answer is very simple. Give until it hurts. And so I encourage you tonight to give until it hurts. And to do it in such a way that the Coke will not taste bad after. Last but not least, one of the things that the Legion has been a tremendous help is helping support this ministry that we've started. And we've got a summit in Cancun in January for 3 days, in which we're inviting CEOs from around the world to attend. We have about 10 world-class speakers at that event to help CEOs to understand what Christ-centered businesses look like, the practical nuts and bolts of doing it, and to overcome those fears that we have. So together with the little book, if anyone's interested, I'm not sure where those flyers are, but I'd like to offer you that opportunity to get hold of the book and the flyer, and if you're interested, to leave your card behind, and we'll contact you, give you more details of how you can join this army for Christ. So thank you for your attention, and God bless.